Welcome back to Smile and Scars, the home of untold stories, real lessons, and powerful moments that change everything. Today's story will take you into a clash between two legends, Chuck Norris and Steven Seagal, a challenge that started as a test of pride, but ended with a lesson neither man would forget. It all began one summer afternoon in Los Angeles, at a private martial arts charity event. The crowd was packed with fighters, actors, and fans of combat sports. Cameras flashed, reporters whispered, and everyone waited for the two biggest names in the room to meet face to face for the first time. Steven Seagal, tall and calm, walked in dressed in his signature black gi. His expression didn't change, calm, serious, unreadable. He shook hands politely with a few organizers and stood quietly near the ring, observing. Then came Chuck Norris, jeans, cowboy boots, and that familiar confident grin. The crowd cheered. Chuck waved humbly, but with that spark in his eyes, the spark of a man who never backed down from a challenge. Everything seemed normal until a reporter asked Chuck, "What do you think about Steven's fighting style?" Chuck chuckled. "Well," he said with a teasing tone, "I've seen his movies, looks good on screen, but I've never seen him do it for real." The audience laughed, but Steven didn't. His eyes narrowed slightly, just enough to make the air feel colder. Steven stepped forward slowly. "You've never seen me fight," he said calmly, "because I don't fight to prove myself. I fight when I have to." Chuck smirked. "Then, maybe it's time you showed us, old friend." The crowd gasped. The challenge was out. Chuck Norris versus Steven Seagal. Event organizers tried to calm things down, but both men agreed it would be an exhibition match, just for charity, no bad blood. Still, everyone could feel the tension. Two living legends, two egos, two philosophies, and only one would walk away untarnished. The match was set for the following weekend. The news spread like wildfire. Chuck Norris to face Steven Seagal in a private match. Social media went crazy. Fans debated endlessly who would win, the lightning, fast karate master or the calm, deadly Aikido warrior. When the day arrived, the private dojo in Beverly Hills was filled with reporters, celebrities, and martial arts icons. Cameras were rolling, but both fighters had made one rule: no audience interference, no cuts, no tricks. Seagal entered first, bowing slightly, calm as always. Chuck followed, confident but respectful. They stood face to face in the center of the mat. Chuck smiled. "You ready to see how it's done, Hollywood?" Seagal didn't blink. "I'm not here for Hollywood. I'm here to teach humility." The bell rang. Chuck was the first to move lightning, fast kicks, smooth, sharp, powerful. His strikes were textbook perfect. He moved with the confidence of a man who had won countless tournaments. Seagal didn't counter. He simply watched, blocking effortlessly, barely moving his feet. Chuck circled, looking for an opening. "Come on, Steven," he teased, "do something." Then it happened in one motion. Chuck went for a spinning roundhouse kick, the kind of move that had knocked out hundreds of opponents. But before his foot could even reach Steven, Seagal stepped in, twisted his body slightly, and caught Chuck's leg midair. A split second later, Chuck was on the mat, flat on his back. The room went silent. Seagal stepped back, his voice calm and controlled. "Speed means nothing without balance." Chuck gritted his teeth, stood up, and nodded. "All right, you got me once, but I'm not done. Round 2. Chuck attacked again, punches, elbows, another kick. But this time Seagal moved like water. He deflected every hit, redirecting Chuck's momentum against him. A simple grab here, a twist there, and Chuck found himself face down again, his arm gently pinned behind his back. "Control the center," Seagal murmured, "and you control the fight." Chuck got up slower this time, breathing heavily. "You're good," he admitted, "but you're not faster than me." Seagal raised an eyebrow. "I don't need to be faster, Chuck. I just need to move when you move wrong." For the third round, Chuck changed tactics. He went for raw power, no tricks, just hard strikes. He managed to land a clean punch on Seagal's chest, enough to make him take a half step back. The crowd gasped. Chuck smirked. Guess I found your weak spot. Seagal looked down, brushing off his jacket. That wasn't my weak spot, he said quietly. That was your last chance. In the blink of an eye, Seagal stepped forward, caught Chuck's wrist, twisted it into a perfect lock, and swept his leg. Chuck hit the mat again, harder this time, but Seagal didn't let him fall painfully. He controlled the motion perfectly, guiding him down like a teacher correcting a student. The room erupted. Some clapped, others just stared in awe. Chuck lay there for a moment, breathing hard. Then, to everyone's surprise, he started laughing. You're something else, Seagal, he said, smiling. You really are. Seagal helped him up. You're not bad yourself, he replied, but next time, try fighting with your heart, not your pride. The tension broke. Both men stood in the center of the ring, bowing to each other in mutual respect. The crowd rose to their feet in applause. As the two legends shook hands, someone from the back shouted, "You guys should make a movie together." Chuck grinned. Maybe after my ribs stop hurting. Everyone laughed, but as Seagal turned to leave, Chuck's face grew thoughtful. For the first time in years, he had met someone who didn't fight to win, but to teach. And deep down, he knew this wasn't the end of their story. Something told him he had one more lesson to learn from the silent master. After the fight ended, both legends left the dojo with mutual respect, but something inside Chuck wouldn't rest. He couldn't stop thinking about that fight, not because he lost, but because of how Seagal handled him. Calm, calculated, almost spiritual. A few days later, Chuck was training alone in his private gym in Texas. Heavy bag swinging, gloves thudding. Sweat rolled down his face. But no matter how many punches he threw, his mind replayed that final moment, the twist, the sweep, the way Seagal disarmed him like a child. His friend and trainer, Joe, walked in, still thinking about it. Chuck smirked. You ever lose a fight, Joe, and realize it wasn't about fighting? Joe nodded. You didn't lose, Chuck. You learned. That's what Seagal does. He teaches without saying much. Chuck sighed, wrapping his hands tighter. Yeah, but something about that man. He's got this peace in him. I wanna understand it. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, Steven Seagal was sitting in a quiet Zen garden behind his dojo, meditating as koi fish swam slowly through the pond. He opened his eyes when he heard footsteps. It was an old student, Master Hoshi. Steven, Hoshi said softly, the one you fought in Norris, he's not at peace. Seagal smiled faintly. He's searching. Sometimes pride blinds a warrior more than fear. Then maybe it's time you helped him see, Hoshi replied. That night, Chuck received a message, simple and direct. Come to Kyoto. There's something you need to see. It was signed, Steven. The next morning, Chuck boarded a plane to Japan. No camera crews, no audience, just him, a duffel bag, and a quiet curiosity. When he arrived, he found Seagal waiting for him at an ancient dojo on the outskirts of the city. The building was surrounded by bamboo, the air thick with mist, and the smell of pine. Chuck stepped inside, bowing slightly. Didn't think you'd invite me here after what happened. Seagal smiled. You fought with strength. Now you'll fight with spirit. Chuck chuckled. That sounds like something out of a fortune cookie. Seagal's eyes narrowed slightly. You'll understand soon. For the next few days, Seagal trained Chuck, not in fighting, but in stillness. Meditation, breathing, balance. Chuck was used to motion, to energy, but this training forced him to slow down, to feel every movement. At first, he struggled. This isn't fighting, Steven, he said one morning, frustrated. I came here to get better, not to sit like a rock. Seagal stood behind him, calm as ever. You think power is in your fists. It's not. It's in your awareness. The fight is won before it begins. That night, as Chuck meditated under the moonlight, he finally began to feel it, that silence Seagal had mastered. That stillness between heartbeats, but peace wouldn't last long. The next evening, as they walked back from training, a black SUV screeched to a halt near the dojo. Three masked men jumped out, local gangsters. One of them shouted in Japanese, pointing at Seagal. Chuck stepped forward. "They friends of yours?" Seagal shook his head slowly. "No, just fools who think power comes from noise." The thugs charged metal bats, knives, shouting threats. Chuck reacted instinctively, delivering a clean sidekick that sent one thug flying into a tree. Another swung at Seagal, but Seagal moved like smoke, disarming him in a single motion and flipping him into the mud. The third tried to escape, but Chuck grabbed him by the collar. "Tell your boss," Chuck growled. "Don't ever pick a fight with peace." When it was over, the police arrived. The men had been part of a criminal group that had been extorting local dojos for protection money. Seagal looked at the officer in charge and said calmly, "Fear makes men do stupid things." Chuck looked at him and grinned. "Guess they learned the hard way." Seagal smiled faintly, "Like some people I know." Chuck laughed. All right, you got me again." Later that night, the two sat by the pond, silent for a while. Then Chuck spoke. "You know, back in L.A., I thought I understood what strength meant. Winning fights, breaking boards, being faster. But here, you taught me it's not about breaking others. It's about mastering yourself." Seagal nodded slowly. "The hardest enemy you'll ever face is your own ego." Chuck extended his hand. "Well, consider that enemy defeated. Thanks, Steven." Seagal shook it firmly. "No need to thank me. You found what was already inside you." As dawn broke, the two legends stood side by side, the rising sun painting gold over the bamboo forest. Chuck turned to Seagal one last time. "Next time we fight, let's make it for the world to see, not to prove anything, but to show what martial arts really means." Seagal smiled. "Then it won't be a fight, Chuck. It'll be a lesson." And with that, the two warriors bowed to each other not as rivals, but as brothers.